Good day and welcome back to Mana Ministries, where we let the Bible interpret the Bible. And so we come to the end of our series of introduction to understanding the Bible. And we've learned many things. And we've seen some strange things that we've actually never thought of and that we've never noticed in the Bible before, especially seeing as it's in the beginning, when the Old Testament, we as Christians, we tend to sort of dwell on the New Testament. But the basics and the foundations are laid in the Old Testament. This is why it's important for us to understand these things. So you might be asking yourself, but why? Why is it important to understand these things? Why do I need to understand that the garden is a soul or a soul is a garden? Well, the answer is clear. Within these basics, God shows us the way He wants to be served. God is spirit, and He wants us to serve Him in spirit. This is why He's given us the perfect picture, an example for us to understand, right through the ages. And it's the clearest picture that He can give us, if we could only understand it. This is why it's important to study the Bible, especially the Old Testament, so that we can let the Bible interpret the Bible. So for now, we're just going to look at some of the main points and why, or what is the practical application of understanding these basics. That being said, let's look at Genesis 1 to 3. God creates everything within 7 days. He creates the heavens, the earth, and everything in it, even men and women. Then, in Genesis 2, we learn that He creates a man, or He forms a man, and this man He gives of His spirit, and He blows this spirit within the man Adam's nostril, and Adam becomes a living soul. Alright, let's just understand that. There were souls created in Genesis 1, but they were not considered living souls. Even though they were alive, they were walking, eating, breathing, marrying, but they were not considered living, as it is the Spirit of God that gives life. So once we have of the Spirit of God, we are considered alive, just like Adam became a living soul. That's the difference. Why is it important? Today, even today, in our religion called Christianity, we still have people, souls, that walk around without the Spirit of God. They are religious, they think they are being very spiritual, but they are not. They're not walking according to the Spirit of God. And therefore, they are not seen as alive. Just like there were Pharisees in the time of Jesus. Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead. Because they were still dead. They did not have of the Spirit of God. Even though they were some of the most pious people in the world. And following God in a very rigorous religious system, but they were seen as dead. They did not serve God in spirit. This is why it's important to realize that flesh and blood cannot please God. And this is why it's important to know how the garden works, or our soul works. Now, the Bible is clear in Genesis that the garden in which God planted was the man Adam's soul. And within that garden, in the midst of it, He blew of His spirit. Now, that spirit was the tree of life. And He said he could partake of that tree or spirit as much as he likes and as often as he likes. In other words, he had to walk according to the Spirit. But there was unfortunately another tree, and that was the flesh tree. And He said of that tree, he was not allowed to take. He was not allowed to partake of the flesh at all. Satan, being the enemy and being king over this flesh and over this world, was jealous. Because all of a sudden, here is this flesh, this man, and he has of the Spirit of God. So he makes a plan on how to get this flesh under him again. And that plan we all know full well. He convinces the woman to partake of the flesh, and the flesh gives, or the woman gives to the man, Adam, and he partakes of it as well. But God has always said that in the day they partake of that tree, they will surely die. Satan knew full well that they will die. And he tricks them. He lies to them. And he says, you will surely not die. And, when we look at it, in our old understanding of the Bible and of that which we've learned at the Sunday school or in the church, it seems like God did lie because they never died. But we need to understand that it was that spirit that God gave them that made them a living soul that God withdrew. And they were not seen again as a living soul. They were just seen as a soul. They happened to be alive. They happened to eat, drink, and still have many children. They were still servants of God, but they were not seen as living souls. They were just seen as souls. So what did happen in that garden? Or at that time when they started partaking of the flesh? They in fact died a spiritual death. God withdrew his spirit. That's what happened. They did die the very day they started partaking of the flesh. Satan lied. It was not God that lied. Now, if we do not understand what the garden is and how the soul works and how the Spirit of God works and how the Spirit of God is the tree of life, this will make no sense to us. We'll have to take it on blind faith, which is a good thing. We do take things on blind faith. But this cements it for us. Once we understand it, then the enemy can't lie to us anymore. We can stand on that truth. And this is why it's important to realize and to know and understand the basic principles of the Bible and of Genesis.